Stop 1. Introduction. Welcome to the 2012 exhibition audio tour of Time Passes, Watercolors by Robert Eshoo. The content for this audio tour was selected from the essay Time Passes by Perry Osatin. Osatin is the newest member of the Pucker Gallery team. She graduated from Williams College in 2010 with a BA in Art History, a concentration in Middle East Studies, and a certificate in Spanish Language and Culture. Thank you and enjoy. American artist Robert Eshoo creates constructions and watercolor paintings that invite the viewer to contemplate various layers of reality and meaning, as well as different forms of representing some of the oldest and most elusive human quandaries. In Mirage, for example, we glimpse an ocean wave through a sort of porthole or window. Below is the word mirage, challenging our perception of what it is we are seeing and establishing the idea that the artist frequently chooses our visual point of view for us. Stop 2. What time is it? 2. The majority of the other paintings in this exhibit, including What Time Is It? 2, feature brightly colored game boards and pieces, children's toys, and dolls, many of which appear to protrude into and inhabit the viewer's own space. Despite their connection to childhood, the works are rather melancholy and ponderous, for they suggest issues as fundamental and expansive as the passage and power of time. Stop 3. Toy Box and Jester's Court. Aside from the clocks which Eshoo depicts, yellow parchment, cracked wood, and rusted nails and hooks make several appearances in paintings like Toy Box and Jester's Court. The dolls' faces, too, frequently appear without bodies or even eyes, and they are stern and pockmarked. Those that are made to appear two-dimensional just barely and eerily emerge from the surface of the parchment represented in the paintings. The figures are decapitated and disembodied, hollow in their construction and in their lifelessness. Indeed, several of the figures portrayed are hand puppets, marionettes, or simply faces on sticks, requiring human intervention for animation. In several instances, the dolls and figurines portrayed in the round are echoed in the same or other paintings by two-dimensional photographs, drawings, or paintings, emphasizing the tenuousness of their place in the physical world. Stop 4. My, what a show, and I Still Have My Marbles. Many of Eshoo's clown figurines and other dolls seem not so much to emerge from various containers in the paintings, but rather to be trapped inside of them, vestiges of a past time, much like the objects in his constructions. The jesters, in the characteristically ironically titled My, What a Show, gesture as if to invite us to see their show or enter their world, and yet there is the sense that they themselves are captives of the multiple wooden frames surrounding them. Likewise, the puppet in I Still Have My Marbles is suspended within a wooden box, the marbles seemingly just beyond his grasp. Stop 5. Treasure Trove. One painting in this exhibit approaches the idea of entrapment and vulnerability with imagery that initially appears out of place. Treasure Trove also contains a box with a shelf of marbles, though this time they are next to small portraits of Native American men. While the portraits are clearly not playthings, the relationship of the depicted men to the marbles is reminiscent, in a metaphorical sense, of the puppet in the previously discussed work. The plight of the Native Americans throughout history and up to the present day is well known and has been treated in earlier Eshoo works. Native Americans, like the puppet, have not always been in control of their destinies, and in this painting they are mere images, not living beings with agency. The artist indicates that this theme resonates with his own life. In his own words, quote, his parents immigrated to this country many years ago from Assyria, a lost country that was overthrown, end quote. Stop 6. Latoria. Although he has lived and worked in the U.S., and specifically here in Boston, throughout his life, Eshoo's pieces are ultimately more European than American in both style and content. He has said that he still listens to classical music while he works in the studio, and that the early masters greatly influenced his work, particularly in the beginning when he worked with materials like dried pigments and egg tempera, which are not common today. Nevertheless, we can still observe the impact of the masters in his watercolors. The concept of trompe-l'oeil and the aesthetic of many of the figures and scenes in his pieces originated across the Atlantic centuries ago. For example, the ochre-red background color, which appears in a handful of paintings, recalls the famous frescoes of Pompeii. In Latoria, we see what may be the story of Theseus and the Minotaur, foregrounded by one of the many vacant-eyed heads which seems to belong to a porcelain doll or perhaps a sculpted cherub from the days of Bernini. The famously frescoed story is one of triumph and bravery, but also of despair. Theseus escaped the labyrinth, but he was trapped in his grief upon leaving behind his love Ariadne on the Isle of Crete. Stop 7. The Castle 5, Homage to Franz Kafka. More frequently, we can see courtly Europe in the aforementioned jester-like puppets and also in Eshoo's stone castles and brick buildings. In contrast to the fairly worn wood and metal of some of the other paintings, the buildings appear to be in excellent condition, medieval in style, modern in wear. These structures have better withstood the test of time, but they are featured in broader, tidier, and more abstract contexts than the shabby and confined, yet warm worlds of wood, parchment, and color. In works such as The Castle 5, Homage to Franz Kafka, we see a variety of ideas and motifs at work. An ominous gray castle is visible in the distance through an arched window in a red brick wall. As the title's reference to Kafka and his novel suggests, perhaps now we, in the present day, are trapped within a box of sorts, looking out on a cold gray fortress and its equally gray surroundings. Stop 8. Conclusion. The neat rows of bricks, windows, and castle stones in several related pieces call attention to simple aesthetics, geometry, rhythm, pattern, texture, and to the lack of figures or any significant reference to human life. Eshoo's point of view here is precise and scientifically observant, rather than detailed and emotional. Unsurprisingly for this set of pieces, the Castle 8, Homage to Franz Kafka, likewise presents the notions of reflection and cyclicality in a literal and cerebral manner. A gray castle and wall below, a reddish castle and wall above, each with accompanying orbs which recall the sun and moon. While Eshoo notes that the style of James Wingate Parr, with whom he worked at the Vesper George School of Art in Boston, influenced his preoccupation with the sky, we nevertheless sense the predictability and relentlessness with which time passes in these castle pieces.